So today we're going to talk about the outliner. The outliner is the way that we're able to stay organized inside of the software. And it's honestly amazing. And we need to be able to master it, right? So today I'm going to show you guys a lot of the different ways that we can use it. So right now, I'm just going to show you how to open it. If we come up here to the top, you'll see it says Windows. We'll go to Object Lister. Windows Object Lister, and all we got to do is select it. Once you select it, you'll see it opens the box here and it says default layer, and by default when you're making things right now they're all going into that layer, but we want to make a couple new layers and add the red surface to that layer and also make it symmetrical over center line. We also want to put the white scan into its own layer. So if I come here to layers and hit new, you'll see it makes a layer here. If I double click into it, I can change it. I'll call this surface. I'll make a second one, layers, new. This one I'll call it scan. Now if I go pick object and pick this surface that we have here, I'm gonna put it in there. I'm gonna right click on it and you'll see we get a bunch of different options. You'll see here that we have the check mark on visible. If I select that, now it's invisible. If I select this guy to put it into this scan layer, right click on it, assign objects. When it's assigned, you'll see that there's a little arrow here. The little arrow means that there's some type of object inside of the layer. Now, if I right click on here, you'll see that I can change the color of the layer, which will change the color of the lines on the surface. So here if I change that green, you'll see it turns green. I like to have it in black usually. And then I'm going to right click on the scan again and hit visible to hide that. Now we want to make this symmetrical over center line. If I right click on this and hit symmetry, you see, nice. Now we're right over center line. That's exactly what we want. Now let's say that if you wanted to move the layer down under like this, you middle mouse click on it, middle mouse hold and drag. Let's say we wanted to duplicate this layer and make duplicate all the contents inside of it. If I right click on it, duplicate layers and contents. This is really awesome because when you click that, you'll see that it's going to create a new layer. It's going to put all this data into a new layer. So now we'll have a copy. With having that copy now, we can mess with the new layer, surface 2. And if anything happens, if we screw up, we can always go back. Or if we want to just go back to look at it as reference, we have that ability. And so that's one thing. Now, if you wanted to delete these layers and delete the contents inside of it, let's see how we do that. So as you can see here, I just clicked on the layer to make it active. I didn't hit the square, I hit the text and it made it yellow. When you do that, it makes it visible. If I right click on it and hit pick objects, that's another option that we have, is to select all the objects inside of here. I'll delete those. You'll see that the arrow went away because there's no more objects inside of here. If I come up to layers, this layer tab is very useful in connection with the object lister. Everything that you do in the layers tab will affect the object lister somehow, for the most part. So here, if I go to delete unused layers, it should delete this layer because it doesn't have an arrow. So here we go, it deleted it. Now let's say I want to delete this one. If I right click on it and hit delete, there we go, delete unused layers. Now lastly, let's say when you right click on this and do symmetry, it gives you dotted lines on the surface. The reason it gives you dotted lines is because it's not actual real surface. It's like a ghost. They call it an instance, and to be able to, you're limited to what you can do with it. And but let's say you want to create that surface. The way you would do that is you would click on your layer, make it active. You come up, you hit layer, you go into the layer options, you hit layers, symmetry, and as you can see here, you see create geometry. When you hit that create geometry, it's giving you give it a second, and then now you can see the dotted lines are gone. That's now we have I guess you could say real surface there, and or data. If I right click on this layer, you'll see I no longer have the symmetry tab on, which means I'm not creating symmetry math over center, but I actually created the math using the symmetry create geometry option. Right. So hope this one helped, guys. Like the video, subscribe. I got a lot of new things coming, and I want to share those with you. Thank you.